it was a difficult game for Ramsey last week in South Lancashire and Cheshire Division 3 South. We all knew it would be away to Birchfield, but they didn't disgrace themselves, did they?
No, and credit to the guys. They did a lot better than I thought they were going to do. Coming back from Birchfield with a bonus point, and they felt a little bit disappointed that they had an opportunity to pick the game off at the end as well. Only 6 points away, and a converted try would have given them the win, and what a win that would have been. But no, it wasn't to be. The bonus point was useful. What also was useful, however, for Ramsey in the South Lancashire Cheshire Division 3 South standings was, and it's not fair to laugh at someone else's misfortune or to take pleasure in it in any way, shape,
I don't
or
know,
form.
because you do have a grin on your face, Dave.
I do. Liverpool University have been deducted 5 points for some sort of rule infringement. We're guessing it's player registration, but we don't know for sure. But Liverpool University were one of the sides that are likely to be challenging for a top 5 finish in this phase of the league. And that point deduction, they've got 3 fixtures left. Ramsey take another 4 points, and Liverpool University won't be able to catch them. So that's there were 7 clubs challenging for the top 5 places. That's 1 down. There's only 6 now, probably. But again, much will depend on Liverpool University's remaining results. But that 5-point deduction plus the bonus point away at Birchfield for Ramsey, massive help for them. And like I said, it's not quite cricket maybe to take pleasure in someone else's misfortune, but a little bit of schadenfreude never hurt anyone.
Saying that, I'm sure all the Ramsey coaches will be saying, forget about Liverpool University. You've got to focus on your own game. We know that you've been saying for the past few weeks, Ramsey are coming into this period of games which are going to be very, very tricky for them. They're trying to secure that top 5 spot, that all-important top 5 spot. They had a difficult game away at Birchfield last week. Now they're at home against leaders Ellesmere Port. How much of a test is this going to be for Ramsey?
Yeah, it's a biggie, and normally at this stage of the season you'd have played half of your fixtures, which would have included one against Ellesmere Port. But the way the fixture gods have smiled on this one is that everyone has a double header for the last 2 games, and Ramsey, by luck, good or bad, whichever way you look at it, they didn't meet leaders Ellesmere Port until the last 2 weeks of the season when they've got them home and away on the bounce. Very similar to the European Champions Cup and how those fixtures work out in the pool stages. So Ellesmere Port 2 weeks on the trot, 1 at home, 1 away. Realistically, not going to bank on getting points away, but the guys will fancy their chances at home. Home advantage counts for a lot. When you're looking at predicting results, you would always favour the home side by and large. And, Ellesmere Port, they've got to come here. It's going to be disruption for those guys to get up. I think they've got to get across to Manchester Airport to get their flight. All that's going to take its toll on the players. And I know there's a large group of them staying over, and the bar receipts are very grateful for that. But for the hardcore of players, it is a big ask, and this will be their first trip of the season. They might have to do another just yet, depending on how the results pan out. So home advantage counts for a lot. The guys will be really boosted at Ramsey from that result at Birchfield last week. It wasn't by far the best team that Ramsey could put out, and to come back from Birchfield with a point in the pocket was a brilliant result. This week they're going to welcome back at least John F. Watling at number 8. He wasn't available last week. He moved house mid-season. Shame on him, shame. But Johnny back in the side at number 8, he'll be very influential. And as you mentioned before in the football piece with Tony, there's a couple of skiers coming back as well. Jared Collister, Matthew Meek and Will Wren should all be available. I'm not sure. I haven't heard who is or isn't yet, to be honest. I'll pick that gossip up tonight. But those 3 coming back in will give quite a few selection options. Matthew Meakin capable of playing back row or wing as need be, and William Wren and Jared Collister will give options in the front row, Jared as well in the back row. So options are what the selectors will need at the Merrick Park for this game, and I'm sure I think Ellesmere Port have asked for a 19-man squad for this game. It's normally 18. Ramsey have agreed to that as well, so got quite a strong bench there'll be as well. So fingers crossed, win is what we want.
Magnificent hosting skills. I don't know, you say they're players moving house, players skiing. Don't these players know there's a season on? Honestly, this is honestly true, Dave. Once I had a player who couldn't play for our hockey team because he was at the Manx SPCA with his girlfriend. I know. Disgraceful, isn't it? You can do that after the match.
Mid-season as well.
I know. Anyway, it's the business end of the season for Ramsey, and they're at home to Ellesmere Port. 1:45 kick-off in the South Lancashire and Cheshire Division 3 South tomorrow. Let's move to North 1 West. Burnage against Douglas. What can you tell us about this one?
Well, Douglas are going to want payback. They lost at home to Burnage earlier in the season. Now, if my memory serves me correctly, Douglas were ahead and Burnage pinched it either in the second half or late in the second half. So they're going to want to put the record straight here. I watched first half of Douglas Wilmslow last week. Douglas struggled just to get a grip on the game, although by half time they'd got Wilmslow just where they wanted them, 15-5 in front. In the second half they let them back in, and they only won by 2 points in the end. Burnage not too far away from Douglas in that very, very crowded mid-table in North 1 West, but Douglas will want points from this one. They'll want 4, perhaps 5, and I'm looking down the table, and the two big points differences I see are from Vale of Loon, who are pretty much home and hosed. They've got 4 games in hand on Douglas, and they're 10 points clear already. But Furwood Waterloo have played a very similar number of games to Douglas. Douglas have won 9, Waterloo only 8, but Furwood Waterloo have picked up 15 bonus points. That's a point a game. Douglas only 9, and bonus points, I think 2 seasons ago, were what was costing them. They just weren't getting the 4 tries in the games that they won, and that could yet come back to bite them on the bottom. But we'll wait and see. They'll be confident going away to Burnage. We know the game will definitely be played. Burnage have an all-weather pitch over there. And so, fingers crossed for Douglas. They've got a reasonably strong squad. They should come back with something.
And moving on to South Lancashire and Cheshire Division 2, what can you tell us about Vagabond's opponents this weekend?
Well, Duckenfield, actually, they're a bit marmitey. I think they're a cracking bunch of fellas, but not everyone agrees. They can be very physical in an old school sort of fashion, and you have to be ready for that. If you're ready for that, they should be fine. Duckenfield going quite well. They're in 6th place in South Lancashire Cheshire Division 2. They don't look like they're going to be able to challenge for promotion. They're too far behind, but they're aiming probably for a top 5 finish. They may or may not get that. Doesn't look like it probably on paper. Vagabonds, as we know, have not been enjoying the best of form. They've got the weakest attack in the league and the weakest defence. They have picked up 2 points. They had that one draw against Port Sunlight just before Christmas, but I can't see them getting anything out of Duckenfield. I know that they're looking at squad strength, and they should have a couple of the bigger guys back to your likes of your Kevin Birchall, your Ross Pullman, and Tom Gascoigne, but I still don't think they're going to be strong enough to take points off Duckenfield. The Duckenfield lost just 6 out of 15, and like I said, going reasonably well at the top end of the table. Other news from that league as well is that Aldershot, the team below Vagabonds, have put in a request to the competitions committee to drop out of this league mid-season. Which will put Vagabonds back on the bottom again. I'm not sure how that will work with relegation, and I'm pretty certain Port Sunlight won't be very impressed with it because they're currently safe and may well be into the mire. But of course, Aldershot looking to drop into the Division 3 North and South setup to play for the lower plate competition, and I know my club isn't happy with that, and I'm pretty certain all the others won't be either.
What is Vagabond's response to that? They can't be very happy.
No, I'm sure they will not, and nobody can drop out. The league committee have to consult with all the clubs first before they make a decision, and they'll make that decision based on the results of that consultation. But I'm pretty certain everybody's going to say you can't swap sides in the middle of the competition. Come on, it is a commitment you've made to the other sides. Vagabonds are weathering the storm. Aldershot should be able to as well, and their playing record, to be fair, is a little bit better than Vagabonds. They've just had 5 points deducted for what I'm guessing again is a rule infringement. Most likely player registration. The registration rules are very onerous, and a slight slip up and it'll cost you 5 points.
Just quickly, we'll have a postponement to tell you about in the Shimon Wilson Manx Shield between Vagabonds B and Emerging Nomads. That match is now no longer going ahead. And Douglas Celts against Southern Nomads, that's had a venue change. Yeah, the Celts Nomads is a victim of Portishead's ability to hold water. It's like a little sponge down there. So that game, which I build as El Clasico in local rugby terms, that's going to be at King William's College. Same kick-off time though, 2:15. Vagabonds be Emerging Nomads. Both sides have been struggling to get teams out this season, and they've both
both waved the white flag at each other. So I'm not sure how the league organiser will deal with that. I'll work it out tomorrow.
And just finally, there's one more game in the Shimon Wilson Manx Shield 2:15 kick-off, Castletown against Ramsey B.